Astro Dodgers, the Game 5 with the classic that we saw there. He's had a lot of juice, and that was a lot of juice in football. A lot of crazy finishes. Alabama beats Georgia in the last play of the game for a touchdown. Atlanta and Philadelphia go to the last play of the game, no touchdown. Obviously, this one right here, we've had a lot of juice the last 10. Oklahoma, Georgia with the scenario there. We've had a lot of juice in the last couple weeks as far as the NFL is concerned. Here is Ron in Michigan. Good to have him with us. Ronnie, welcome. Your turn. How are you today, pal?
Hey, Doug, I want to talk about the end of the game with the Saints because I knew you were going to bring this up. Now, he made that 4th and 10, and that got him close to being in field goal.
Well, I think it got him to about the 46-yard line, right. Maybe the 40. So they still had to gain a few more yards to make it a little more of an automatic kick. Go ahead.
Okay. Then the first play, they ran the ball and didn't do a whole bunch. So then Minnesota called a timeout. See, Minnesota called timeouts here. Then the second play was a pass play. Now, I can't remember if he went out of bounds, but all I know is they took forever to check to see if he caught the ball. So then that clock's not moving then either. And then on third down, they run the ball to Kamara. He gets stopped right away.
No, that was no. I'd have to go back. We're going to go back and double check it. So after the first down to Snead, he did what? He threw 2 passes and ran the ball to Kamara.
The second down was a pass to the right side, and they didn't know if he caught it. So they took forever to check the play, but I can't remember if he was out of bounds.
No, he wasn't out of bounds. He was not out of bounds. It was not out of bounds.
Okay, so then they checked to see if he caught that play.
And he did. They ruled it a catch. It was a catch. Yep, go ahead. Continue.
Right. So then the third down, he ran right up the middle, Kamara, and got stopped. He probably lost 2 yards.
No, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2.
Minnesota called another timeout. So the Saints, what I'm getting at, is the Saints couldn't have ran that down any more than what they did.
I didn't like the way they handled it, Ron. We'll get the play-by-play fourth quarter, Eddie, of the Saints-Viking game, please, and we'll double-check it a little more. After they ran the 2, first off, I didn't like the play calls to Michael Thomas on the right sideline, which led to the 4th and 10. I didn't like those play calls. They did 2 play calls in a row. Guy was double-teamed on the right sideline. That, to me, made no sense. So they put themselves in a tricky 4th and 10 scenario to begin with. They get out of that. Your question is those 3 plays after they got the first down, how they ran them. And that we're going to have to double-check, Ron. We'll double-check the play sheet.
I don't think he had a choice. Minnesota kept calling because Minnesota had all 3 of their timeouts then. I thought the Saints were going to get burned by him burning his 2 timeouts earlier in the game. That's where I thought the Saints were going to have problems.
And by the way, I did not have a problem with the 2 challenges. I know Aikman and I know Buck did not like the second challenge where they gained 7 or 8 yards to make it a manageable 54-yard field goal on whether Keenum was sacked before he unleashed an incomplete pass. I thought that was a good challenge because when I saw it live, I thought his knee may have been down. So I think and it was awfully close. Now, he got it off, but it was close. On the first challenge, about a minute or 2 earlier than that, they challenged to play down the left sideline for 27 yards, if you remember correctly. Again, I did not like the way the Saints ran the clock. We have to double-check that and make that a little bit more. We will double-check that to see where we stand with it. But I did not like the way they ran out the clock. Mike in South Carolina, Mad Dog Unleashed. Mike, welcome. How are you today, pal?
Good. How you doing, Chris?
All right, Michael. Nice to talk to you. What's on your mind now?
All right. I totally agree with you on that second call. It was close, but when you looked at the
I think you had to challenge it. Aikman had a major problem with it. Buck was they both didn't like it. In that sequence,
one I had a problem with.
Well, I mean, the first one looked like he caught it. The second one, if his knee is down, it's 4th down. It's a 61-yard field goal.
Correct.
That's a huge play. I mean, you have to challenge that. I thought they were dead wrong. I think they may have had to go for it on 4th and 7 and instead of trying to kick the 61-yard field goal. So I did not have a problem with that second challenge. Go ahead.
Now, what I had a problem with at the end of the game was the way the rookie came in like that. I mean, that's not his first game of playing football.
Yeah, he made a bad play.
When you dominated the whole first half. I mean, New Orleans, Minnesota definitely dominated the first half, but that second half, there was no business Minnesota winning it. But I'll tell you one thing, Chris.
Yes, that.
Next week, let's not anoint Minnesota and New England already. Because believe me, those are going to be two tough games for both of them.
Maybe. I think it's. I know part of me. If it's not Minnesota, New England, we're in trouble. Because if it's any other combination, it's a disaster. Nick Foles is not beating Belichick, in that spot, and Jacksonville will be a death knell to anybody who wants to watch the Super Bowl. Here are the play calls by the Saints. All right, in this sequence late, and let's see if they screwed it up. This is their last possession, 1:04 to go. 1st and 10, incomplete pass to Thomas. 1:29 to go. I'm sorry. Thomas. 2nd and 10 from the 25. The tight end caught a ball for 18 yards, first down, 43-yard line. All right, 1st and 10 with 55 seconds to go. 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 46. Breeze incomplete to Thomas. And then he did it on 2nd and 10, incomplete to Thomas. I hated those two plays. Right there's a perfect example. 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 46-yard line with a minute left, and you have a timeout left. Run the ball. Run the football. Minnesota will call a timeout. Run the ball. And if you don't run it then, run it on 2nd down. I like running it on 1st down better because then you give you 2 chances, you get no yards to get the 1st down through the air. But in that sequence, those are terrible play calls. 3rd and 10, incomplete, 3 straight times to Thomas. And then, of course, the pass to Snead for the 1st down. So they had a 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 33 with 40 at the 33 with 40 seconds to go. So they made a mistake with Thomas, and they should have run the ball. And then they had a 1st and 10 to Viking 33 with 40 seconds. They threw a pass to Ginn, who ran out of bounds for 4 yards. Stop the clock. Minnesota did not have to use a timeout. That's a terrible play call. That is a terrible play call. Run the football. How can anybody sit there and tell me that's a good play call? You're in field goal range. They got 2 timeouts left. How do you sit there and not... they just kicked the field goal on you 5 minutes ago. How do you not run the ball there? And then on 2nd and 6 from the 29, then he threw to Thomas for 5 yards again. And that's when the replay came in, and then Minnesota called a timeout there first. Then he ran the ball on 3rd and short to Kamara, didn't get the 1st down. They called their 2nd timeout. That was, folks, you don't have to be Vince Lombardi. That was not the greatest play calling scenario in the history of football with Peyton and the Saints on their last drive. 9 in front of the hour. Back on Mad Dog Unleashed.